Good afternoon, my Facebook family, friends. First, I want to give honor to God and to our wonderful staff with the Compton 125 Historical Society. We're here today to resume our speaker series. Every fourth Saturday of the month, we have someone outstanding from the city of Compton share their story about some of the historical things that's happened in the city of Compton. Now, I want to give a wonderful shout out to our membership, to our board of directors, also to the wonderful staff that we have. So at this time, we're going to get ready to turn things over to Minister Brown and Tony Hicks, our vice president, and they're going to conduct the speaker series of one of our former firefighters, a resident of Compton who grew up in Compton, and I want to say he's a good friend of mine too. All right, so we're gonna get ready to get started. Before we get started, I want to share with you, those of you who are interested and being part of the speakers, not the speakers, but of the Compton 125 Historical Society, you can call us at 213-399-2325, or you can email us at compton125@yahoo.com. And we're looking for wonderful volunteers, people who can assist us in helping preserve the wonderful history of Compton, California. And so my membership out there, our Facebook family and friends, and to our wonderful board of directors, those that are present at this time. So I'm going to ask my VP, Mr. Hicks, you want to say hello to our viewing audience, and then we're going to get right into our speaker series.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to this special speaker series on the Compton Fire Department. Thank you for joining us. Those of you on Facebook, thank you for joining us. It's going to be a great presentation, and we're going to have a great day. I want to, again, remind you what our president just said. We are open for membership. The Compton Historical Society is moving and doing some great things. This year on May 11th, Compton turns 135 years old, and we're planning on some special recognition and activities for that particular weekend. So keep in contact with us on Facebook. That is 125 Project, Compton 125 Project on Facebook. That is our Facebook address, and you can find out all our update information and our events. Thank you all, and let's get started.
All right, and before we get started, I just want to reiterate what Mr. Hicks said about our 135th birthday celebration, but also the Historical Society will be celebrating its 10th year of existence too. All right, let's get started. Mac, you ready?
I stay ready.
Oh, ready.
Who are you gonna call?
All right. Come on in, Minister Brown. Are you, Brother Tony Hicks? Let's get our questions, our slide presentation going at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, we want to just welcome everyone to our second speaker series of the month. And this is a great month because it's Black History Month, and we are so honored to have with us our very own member and former captain of the Compton Fire Department in the city of Compton, along with Soon you will meet him, Mr. Charlie Coleman and Mr. Carlton MacMiller. Okay, senior moment for a minute. But we're excited to have them and for them to be a part of the speaker series during Black History Month. What a wonderful way for us to kind of cap off the Black History celebration for 2023. And so without any further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And we will go through a PowerPoint where we'll share a little bit and have our speaker introduce him and have our speaker share on some of the wonderful things that's going on and went on in our fire department and the great work that they're doing. I mean, some of the things that they did back in the day, I mean, I don't know if I would be able to do it, but they did it with little or nothing to, you know, you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyways, here we go. So we're going to share this screen right now and get everything going.
Are we?
I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Brown, President Brown. He's got something to say.
Yeah. Are we recording this, Minister?
It's
Brown?
live streaming.
Oh,
On
live stream. Oh, very good. Hello, Facebook family and friends.
there you go.
All right. This is the thank you from Compton 125 Historical Society. We just want to tell you we love you and we love preserving the history of our wonderful city of Compton.
All right. So today we're with Compton Fire Department and we're making this wonderful presentation with Mr. Charlie Coleman and Mr. Carlton MacMiller. And reason why I kind of hesitate on his name is because I don't usually call him by his first name. I know him as Mac, and I think everybody knows him as Mac. So to call the name Carlton, it's like, okay, yes, Carlton. But anyways, you'll get to know more about this interesting person from our city, and we're just so very honored to have him with us today. So Mr. Carlton MacMiller, he is the fireman captain and he's going to explain to you where is Station 5, okay? But we know him that he has a Station 5, okay? Maybe everybody else in Compton don't know him that we have a Station 5, but there is a Station 5, and he's going to explain all of that under the leadership of Chief Monroe Smith, and he's also going to elaborate a little bit on Chief Monroe Smith when we get there, the first African-American fire chief this side of the Mississippi. As well, we're going to have with us today Mr. Charlie Coleman. Mr. Charlie Coleman is, what would you say, engrafted fireman. He started out as a volunteer. You'll hear more about his story. For over 50 years, he's volunteered in the city of Compton and started out at the Explorer program, and you will hear his interesting story and why he took an interest in the fire department. All right, so now we're going to share a little bit of Mr. MacMiller's bio. Carlton MacMiller has been employed by the Compton Fire Department since 1981, when he began his career as a firefighter and served as a arson investigator before being promoted to fire engineer in 1987. Carlton MacMiller is well known for his outgoing personality, which you'll get a little bit of that today. Personality throughout the Compton community, being not only a dedicated and conscientious public servant, but also one who is deeply involved in the activities of the community and the activity participation of Carlton MacMiller in professional and civic events attest to his abundant energy and competitive spirit. And among Carlton MacMiller's numerous activities and involvements are the City Employees Food Basket Program, the Fire Employer Program, the Adopt a School Program, the Centennial Committee, the design and building of the City Hall Christmas tree, the Christmas parade, and responsibility for the city's classic fire truck at parades and car shows. Carlton MacMiller also designed and built the fire department's Christmas floats for 1983 and 1984, which won the sweepstake and best theme awards respectively. Carlton MacMiller's outstanding accomplishments resulted in his appointment in 1987 as chairperson of the Compton Special Olympics Committee, which he led in an exemplary manner to get Compton sanctioned with the Southeast Los Angeles Special Olympics so that the track meet could be held on May 21st, 1988 at Compton Community College as part of the city's 100th birthday celebration. Wow. The city council of the city of Compton extends its sincere congratulations to Carlton MacMiller for his active participation, outstanding service to the betterment of life in the Compton community. And he was recognized by the mayor of the city, Mayor Emma Sharif, and her council. And we just are really honored to have him here. And there is a photo of Mr. Carlton MacMiller and from 1981 to 2005. And again, he will share a little bit on the Station 5. And also, we did not know that he was a builder of a float, because the Compton 125 Historical Society back in 2013 had a float in the Christmas parade and a big 125 birthday cake. So we're going to hit Mr. MacMiller up after we get off air and talk about building a float when we need one. Anyways, we want to use all of his skills, all of his ability to do great things. And we're also so honored to have him as one of the members and also a part of the team for the Compton 125 Historical Society. He's working exclusively on the fire research, Compton Fire Department research, and as a researcher. And so we're so honored to have him as part of our team. So welcome, Mr. MacMiller. And
just before we
go
move on, we forgot one thing.
Oh,
He's a product of Compton.
okay.
Graduate from Compton Senior High School.
All right. And for those that are on
A
Facebook,
classmate of mine too.
For those that are on Facebook, would you please share this out for those that have a link to the fire department Facebook page? Please share that out to them so that they can be a part of this live talk as well. We appreciate you, and any comments that you may have on Facebook, please put it in the comments and we'll be more than happy to ask any questions there are. All right, so here are some of the recognition that was given to Mr. MacMiller for his accomplishments from the County of Los Angeles as well as the City of Compton. And I'm sure there's other things that he has done, but this is just a few of them. Okay. And we're doing something dual today. We're going to introduce Mr. Coleman. He's not on air yet, but we're going to introduce him. So when he does come on air, you will know who he is. So Charlie Coleman, he was appointed by Fire Chief Monroe Smith as advisor to the Explorer program that was developed for the youth that were interested in fire service. Charlie Coleman received an award and great recognition for his dedication and work with the Compton Fire Department. He came to the city of Compton when he was 11 years old and began his journey specifically on June 18, 1980. Charlie Coleman has morphed into the role of being known as the chief of the youth program, as you can see with the picture with his chief hat. As it stands today, he has dedicated 42 years of volunteer service to the Compton Fire Department. His white helmet symbolizes his chief status. So that's Chief Volunteer Charlie Coleman, and you will meet him a little bit later on. And here is some recognition that was given to him in 2022, and we're so honored to have him and to know him as part of the Compton Fire Department. Okay. All right. So now, without any further ado, we're going to, I'm going to switch slides and come back to this one. We're going to go to this slide and we're going to open the mic and introduce to some and present to others our wonderful guest speaker today, Mr. Carlton MacMiller. Call him Mac, he won't mind. Okay, don't call him nothing else. But Carlton MacMiller, our guest speaker for the day. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. MacMiller, the mic is yours.
How you doing? I don't see myself on this, but right now I've been working with the Compton Fire Department to try to preserve this history. And I've been working on, as in this picture here, you can see that back in the day, they actually had scrapbooks that they would keep, and they produced 3 of them as early as 1926. And I had found them, and they were in a little tattered shape. So I'm trying to preserve them. Each page I'm going through and looking at it and doing it. I've noticed a lot of important things that I didn't know that the fire department did back in its day. And this is when I started meeting up with the 125 Society, and I had actually graduated with Mr. Brown and from straight out of Compton. And I've just been trying to get Compton's history put back into what I call for generations to see in the future.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
Go
Am I
ahead.
still on? Okay. So are you going to another slide, or we just,
Okay,
do I
we're
just
gonna
keep-
go back to this slide. And just indicate when you want me to move on to the slides.
Oh, okay. This is just some of the pictures that were in it. And I've noticed that some of the things, it's hard to see some of these if I can enlarge it a little bit. Yeah. The picture there where you see a young lady at the firebox. Compton was actually, when they had put these fireboxes in, and on the West Coast, we were known to have the first, you probably can't see it in the upper picture, as a picture of the master control system. Compton Fire Department actually was the first fire department on the West Coast to have a telephone alarm system that 24 hours you can actually talk to a real person. Before, you had those fire boxes that would automatically let you pick up and dial in. That was one of the things I noticed that I didn't know about Compton in the very beginning, that they were one that actually held or had the first telephone alarm system on the West Coast. Okay. That picture there of that Dalmatian, we made the paper on that. That Dalmatian was at Station 3, and it had a litter of puppies that matched in Fort Wayne. They said they had the largest amount of dogs, but Compton sort of came on and beat that. And we made the paper, and you can see all the pups down there that was held at Station 3. As we're moving right along, you can flip the next one. Okay. This here is one of the first triple combination pumpers. It was basically a American of France. And at the driver is Mr. Dow, which was the first paid fireman on the Compton Fire Department. The 5 gentlemen you see with fire helmets on the back row there are the first paid 5 firefighters for the city of Compton. All the gentlemen in front are volunteers. Compton had volunteer fire department, had a volunteer fire department of 20. And back in the day, our volunteer fire department did not make any money unless they actually was at a fire. And they gave them $1 per fire. A lot of people didn't know at that time that the city, to save money, and the weed abatement was so bad that Compton's chief would get on the truck, go to the police department, get 3 to 6 prisoners, and they would go out for what we call weed abatement today, but they would set little fires and burn down the weeds around certain areas. And they would make $1 per fire, but if we use the prisoners, we got it at a very low and inexpensive price. But that's the first triple combination pumper, which means it has a pump, it carries people, and it has hose. That's the term for the triple combination. Okay, moving right along. What do we got next on here? This spot here is showing engines. We have 3 engines right there. That's actually 1, 2, and 3. But Compton's first, this is a little out of order. Compton's first fire department was at a livery stable. We had a hose cart back in 1908 with 300 foot of hose on it. Our population at that time was only 900 people. And we housed it at the John Young's Liberty Stable on Willowbrook and Compton Boulevard. We had a fire hose drawn cart, chemical cart. They paid like $298 for it back in 1910. And we actually didn't have our first, what we call organized volunteer fire department in the early 1920s. And our first volunteer chief at that time was, his name was Peters. He only stayed like 4 months. And our second volunteer chief was Burton, Chief D.H. Burton, in 1921 through like 1929. But our first fire truck actually was a Model T. Population at that time was like 1,500, and we housed it around the old house at Owl Truck Company on 120th and Tamarind at the time. This picture here is a little further along, but I would like to move into, what did I do? To the next slide. That next slide. That next slide here, I'm just, it's showing our first squad where those 3 gentlemen, the 2 gentlemen sitting there, and our earlier model Ford. It's a Ford model truck, fire truck that we had, and our utility truck. It has a turret on it back in the day. And that was in the closer to the early 40s. But there's some other pictures. The next slide. Here we go here. When I first came on, this board was full with all the gentlemen that was prior to us, where you could see back in the day, we had Parsons, chief on there, and I'm talking about Annabelle Palmer. Marshall was the grandfather of Captain E. Peterson, which was one of the original settlers that came to Compton in the earlier days. They were the original family, and that's why she's mentioned here. And you can see a picture of him. I'm restoring that board right now. It's actually put everybody back that was on it. You can see where the blank spaces where you can see pictures were. I found all the pictures, but I couldn't figure out the names. And I had to research it by looking up for the oldest guys that was on our department. And I had to go see Credit, Chief Credit at the time, for those that you know him. And he helped me out. But the man that really knew was Captain Peterson. He's still alive today, living in Cerritos. And he was the one that helped me complete this assignment. And I actually got everybody back in order with the proper names, because we're putting together a heritage book for the city of Compton. And it should be coming out this year for the first time in the history of the fire department. They're doing a heritage book under Chief Simpson. He brought that from back east. We never even thought about it, but we're making one happen now. Moving along, that next slide. A lot of people don't know, but they had bowling tournaments in the CSFA. And actually, the CFA bowling tournament was held in Compton. And you see Chief Parsons at the time demonstrating how he can throw that. I hope he's picking up or maybe throwing a strike. But Compton actually held, we had like 3 bowling alleys back in the day. And this is one of them. And where Chief Parsons is actually bowling advertisement, I should say. I don't think he was actually on the team when I look at all the past histories for the. I actually found one of the handouts for that bowling thing, and Compton had a pretty good bowling in their past, even though in the future we had some hot bowlers in the future too, Johnny Roundel and Ed Cabs and all them. They turned it out and became gold medal winners for a while. If any of y'all in the fire department been into the fire tournaments, you have definitely heard of Compton and their dream team on the bowling. But moving along, let me see the next slide there. So I'm working with.
I wanted you to mention the prize with those gentlemen.
Oh, you know what? I didn't see that. I got it all sort of enlarged. But yeah, that was we had a dance, and this was one of our first prize winners that we gave away, believe it or not, back in the day. But that 12-inch TV right there, the box is bigger than the screen almost. But that was our first giveaway for a prize. And the young man with that ticket in the back, he won it. I can't think of his name right now, but he actually was on the fire department that won this.
Okay.
This here is the first real station that was built in 1925 when they first built the city hall in 1925. This is the headquarters station just to the right of City Hall. There's a picture of City Hall will be coming up, but this is the headquarters station. We ran 2 engine companies out of there, 2 trucks, truck 1 and truck 2. They really didn't say fire engines at the time. They just said truck 1 and truck 2. But this is we still had volunteers at this time. We had 5 paid, but we still had about 15 volunteers. On the next slide.
Would you like me to share a little bit about this, Mr. Mack?
Yes, go ahead. You can talk about.
Okay, so we come across many different individuals through our Facebook page, and this particular gentleman, Gary Wynn, is the son of Andy Wynn. And Andy Wynn was in 1953, he was a Compton fireman. Why Mr. Wynn is so interesting and is such a great tie to what we're doing today. Andy, his father, had the truck that you see pictured here. Little Andy, if we were able to blow it up, right by the steering wheel, there's a little boy with his hand waving. He's Gary, the son, is actually sitting in the chair in the driver's seat. And then on the second picture, you can have a closer picture description or look at Gary Wynn, the son of Andy Wynn, with his little fire hat on, and he's sitting there with the firemen on the truck. They were getting ready to go to the 1953 Compton Christmas parade. And how we came across these photos was through Miss Annabelle Palmer Marshall, and we have the house number of Gary Wynn when he was living here. He's now moved away to Arizona, I believe, and he gave Miss Annabelle Palmer Marshall, which is the founding daughter, one of the founding daughters of the city of Compton, the address, the wooden address from his house, and Miss Annabelle gave that to us, and so we have Gary's address in our presence, as well as the photo that he shared about his father's history in the fire department back in 1953. So we thought we'd add that to the whole collection here today. All right, so I don't know if Mr. Mack want to talk about the fire engine that they're on, and so I'll turn it back to him.
Fire trucks.
Fire truck.
Thank you. Now go ahead. This one here, when you implemented this one in, I wasn't ready, had any extra issues on it. I can go to your next slide, see what you have there.
Okay.
Okay. This is a very interesting picture I found in the archives. It's a Compton fire engine drafting off of Compton Boulevard. Compton had at least 10 floods in its heyday. The first flood happened in 1888. The next one in 1887. We had in 1914, 1916, 1926, 1937, 1938, 1958, 1959, and the last one we had like this was in 1962. But just to let you see, that's Compton Boulevard, and usually when you need to draft on an engine, you usually use a pond or a lake or something, but when you can drop your hard section in and just put a strainer on it and draft straight off the street, that's showing you how deep the water was throughout the city of Compton. And this was pretty dominant because it actually acted like the Nile River back in the day, because Compton's mainly what you call the Richmond farm area. Basically, Compton was all basically farm areas at the time. And this nutrients of good soil coming in on these floods made it so predominantly easy to grow plants that when they sold Compton at $5 an acre at 40 and 80 acre plots, Compton people who bought those farmers bought them actually paid their farms off the first harvest because it grew such predominantly good vegetables, and they mainly had what we call pumpkins. Sugar beets was the best, and alfalfa was one of the things that really flourished. Not to get off beat, but I just want to explain how this flooding actually helped before we actually cemented in the canal.
Right.
Okay. Now, this here is the squad that we had in 1960. We bought this Chevrolet. Back in the day, we didn't have paramedics. We didn't have what you call real technical EMTs that did more than just band-aid you, saves you from where you're at. But this actually brought oxygen to the individuals, and oxygen was all that they was actually giving. That was more first aid, was the oxygen. And this was our first squad, our second squad technically, that we had in the city of Compton before Monroe Smith brought in paramedics and EMT squads. Next picture. This is just showing some of the equipment. It mainly carried more equipment for our firefighting issues, but it did is what we used to send out for emergency services where oxygen was needed. But it was mainly a truck that carried all the extra tools, as if we had like a ladder truck would have, or extra salvage type issues on it.
Okay, before we go to the next slide, there's a question, and I'm very aware of our Facebook friends and those that are joining. I just shared this out to Detroit and Chicago fire department. So some of those firemen might, or people that are interested in the fire departments, may be joining us. So we just want to welcome everyone once again to our speaker series for February, Black History Month. And we have Mr. Carlton MacMiller on air with us, live streaming on Facebook as well as in the Zoom room. We also want to point out that there are going to be questions that will come up on Facebook or in the Zoom. We're looking out for those. And I do see that we have one question in regards to the paid firefighter, Mr. Mack. You could let us know whether you wanted to answer the question after your presentation, or if you want us to break and just answer any questions that come up. That would be entirely up to you. There is one question right now on a previous slide that was shown, but if you'd like to continue on with the presentation, then we can do that.
Okay, well, if it's a quick question, I can answer it, but other than that, we can keep on moving on.
Okay, so the quick question from Facebook is, did the first paid firefighters live at the station? In that slide with the first paid firefighters?
No, because the station we didn't actually have we kept it at a Young's Liberty stable. So it was the biggest place that was big enough to house fire equipment. So it was almost like the volunteer status, but the first paid man, he needed to be able to operate the truck. It's almost like if you go to the movies, a lot of people don't realize when you see fire trucks in the movies, those trucks are usually rented from fire departments, and they'll send an engineer because the studios do not have trained people to operate or drive them. And that's what the same thing here. You have a piece of equipment, but if volunteers come on and they don't know how to operate it, you got to have at least one person trained to operate the pump on it to get it to be sufficient and drive it without everybody saying, "Hey, do you know how you're doing it? Or how's it work?" You know, because everybody had a regular job. They just came when the bell rang as volunteers and met at a certain spot. And that's where they would get together and make the plan on fighting whatever the fire was.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for the question on Facebook. And we're just going to move along in our slide right now to the next one. Thank you.
This here is Compton City Hall, first one. It's very architecturally looking nice, but this is a year after they built it, and that's the flood that happened the following year in 1926. And over to the left side of that building would have been the fire department further on down. But this is just a view of showing how high the water would come. It looked like City Hall would look like an island to itself. The water came all the way up to the steps to entering the building. That's the only thing that saved it from actually getting flooded inside. It was just built a little higher. But that's the first Compton City Hall. It looks better than the one we got now, really, architecturally. I like it.
Where was this located? This City Hall located? Still in downtown?
Yeah, right off the train tracks right there on Alameda.
Mm. Mm. Oh, wow.
Willowbrook, and you know, this here is a classic picture that shows where Monroe Smith, and it's two ships getting off here, basically. I've been trying to research it now. I am in that front row, right up under the end on the ladder truck for Compton. If you go straight down, that's me right there. Now, if you go down with these gentlemen in the dress uniforms, you'll see Monroe Smith, the first Black chief, Western Mississippi. You'll see Ernie Mitchell, the first Black fireman to be appointed by the Obama administration as fire administration for the United States. He came straight out of Compton. So there's a lot of rich history in the city of Compton when it comes to the fire department. And you can see how when Monroe came on, when I grew up in the city of Compton, I never seen a fire truck come to my school and do a presentation for career development or anything like that. I never seen them. I never knew or got to go to a fire station in my city. They kept it pretty locked up. And if the bell didn't ring, you didn't see a thing. You know, it wasn't like it is after Monroe came on. He really reached out to the community and made sure that our presence was known.
I think you forgot one important person in that. I mean, all of them are important, but there's somebody else in this picture.
Lily Darden. I'm sorry. Lily Darden, who is now the council person, like she said, she has like 2 daughters, but she always says, I might have 2 daughters, but I got 67 sons, because she considered all the firemen, but she's now the council person for the city of Compton. But there she was Monroe Smith's secretary. Well, she says she was the boss, if you let her tell it. But she was well known in the fire, so everybody there loved her and treated her with a lot of respect to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Councilwoman Lily Darden in the present. Okay, there we go. This here is this History Month. Station 5 got together and we decided that we needed to put Monroe Smith's image and his memory back in the city of Compton. So we got together and I hired a artist and I designed this rendering of showing Monroe Smith as a rookie in his chief's outfit and the way he looked daily, what we call the Silver Fox. That's Monroe Smith, and that's me drilling into the wall to mount the picture. That's history right there. And we just did that. And all those, he lived to be 99 years old. And we got together and we made commemorative prints from 1 to 99 for those that are interested in the fire service or just want a piece of Black fire history. Because this man was the first Black chief, the Jackie Robinson of fire chiefs. Every chief that was a chief in California know this man. If they had a chance to work with him like I did from 81 through 80, he retired in 92. And I swear that was the best man, the best chief I ever worked with. And I got hired by 5 fire departments, but this is the way I made home. But that's us mounting it in the headquarters station. And if anybody get a chance, you need to go by and see it. And if anybody wants to get, there's still about maybe 49 prints left for the 99 that are available for $100 a print, and it's numbered. And it is a piece of history for any fireman to be proud to have hanging in their office or home.
Awesome.
But it's at Station 1.
So we're going to put a little extra plug on that for those that are on Facebook, as our guest speaker is saying that there are about 40 plus prints still available. If you would like to have one of those, you could either reach out to us through Messenger on Facebook or call us at the 213-399-2325 number, or we can also get you in touch with Mr. MacMiller, and it is really wonderful if you can get your hands on a piece of history and be proud, knowing who he is. Those of you that live in the city of Compton, and if you are across any other state, and you know how Compton is a branded name all over the United States and the world. If you're out there in Facebook land and you would love to get one of these prints, you better hurry up, because there's only 40 plus. And I don't know if our guest speaker, Mr. Miller, is going to be making any more prints unless it's like popular demand. So if you like a copy of that, reach out to us. And we were at the wonderful presentation and unveiling of this, and it was a beautiful ceremony. Family members were there. It's just such a rich history and just a wonderful man. I wish I had gotten to know him before he passed on, but we were glad that Mr. MacMiller took the time to really spend time to research and put all out just to make sure he memorialized this great man that gave so much to the city of Compton. It is just awesome. And I don't know if we can read what is on the inscription at the bottom, or if he remembers it. I don't want to put him on the spot, but if you go by the station number 1, correct, Mr. MacMiller? Station number 1, you should see that hanging in that station right there. And it's just a beautiful rendition of it. Also, you can visit our Facebook page. We do have a live Facebook that we did share the unveiling there as well. You can go back and watch the replay. So we're gonna, if there's nothing further, we're going to move on to the next slide. And just to say that we're getting into more current images of what our fire department, some of the retirees, and Mr. MacMiller is going to share more about that.
Also, on that print, it does say, in memory of Chief Monroe Smith, the first African-American appointed fire chief west of the Mississippi River, served the city of Compton December 1971 through December 1992. And his quote, "I can be the first, but I will not be the last," Monroe Smith. And it's a numbered copy 1 through 99, and there will not be any more made after the 99 was sold. It is a commemorative print, one for every year of his life. Thank you.
Wow.
Now, moving right along. Oh, okay. These are fire departments. This year around November, the fire department will be getting all new engines,
wow,
new squads,
yay,
and a couple EMT rigs. I've heard this coming down. They're on order. And these here is the ones that they're going to be putting in the reserves for the Compton Fire Department. The colors will probably be the same, but we just have new engines and squads in the game.
Nice.
You know, that's engine 41. That's at the headquarters station where you can go and visit and see the Monroe original print that was done. You see my retiree. That's my last set of turnouts hanging up there. I see that on the sideline. And there's pictures. Station 5, a lot of folks might not understand, but Compton only had 4 stations, and Station 5 was put together by, before we had what you call what do you call that, direct deposit. We used to get all our checks. Our captains would pass them out, so most folks stayed in town until the checks came down. We called it the Eagle has landed, and so we would hang out at my house. I had a little den with a little pool table in it, and I would throw some breakfast sandwiches on, and we hung out till the checks filed, and they would be calling every other 10 minutes as the checks landed. But that had grew so regular that I ended up building me a man cave in the back, and it looks like a 2-story building. It actually houses like 4 vehicles. And it has a little club room in it, and I'm really sitting in it right now. It has a lot of my accomplishments in the fire service. But we get together every Monday. We call it Station 5. Compton only had 4, but this one's on the outskirts. And we get together, all the retirees that live locally. We play dominoes. We all chip in the food. We do treat it just like we're at the station. We all chip in to see what we're going to eat that night. And we just fellowship and talk about things that retired people talk about. You know, like I say, once you retire from the fire department, you got 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday. When they say, I can't wait for the weekend, we say our weekend never ends. We just enjoy life and keep in touch. I'd rather see them every Monday than have to wait until go to a funeral and see them, and that's the last of it. So I try to keep a little fellowship going with all the locals, gets them out the house at least on Mondays on that. But Station 5 is 5. All retirees are welcome.
Mr. Hicks, you want to read that?
Yes, Compton 125 Historical Society. History is alive in Compton. Miss Pauline Brown put that up there.
Yeah, that's a picture of the completion of in 1925, the new city hall. And you can see some train further off in this early part. You can see the train tracks rolling down in front of it. That's a picture of it. And I really like that architecture they had back in the day. And to the right of it, if you're looking straight at it, the fire department was built on. To the right side of it was the first real stations that we had, which we ran 2 trucks out of at that time. What we got next? Next slide. This here is the original Station 3, which was, I'm gonna say there's a little out of order in this here. We would have Station 2 was the second station they built, but
I'll just go to the go ahead. That's Station Engine 2.
That's Station 2. It was built in Palmer and went in service in February 15th, 1945. And we called that station in the future was called Fort Apache. If you ever worked in Compton and you say Fort Apache, that's the station nobody wants to go to because it had more runs. You're good for 20 runs a day in that rascal in today's era. Easy. You don't eat. You don't eat regular. You got to eat on the run. But Station 2, it was nicknamed Fort Apache. And now this is Station 3. And Station 3, the tower in the back of Station 3 was actually built by firemen in the city of Compton. In the earlier days, our second engine company was actually built by Compton firefighters. That little bitty thing. I mean, I found documentation where they actually ordered the nuts, bolts, pumps from American La France, hose reels, and the fire department actually built that one engine that we keep in the early 30s. We bought it. It was a Ford chassis, but they actually made their own fire department fire engine with it. And it was a triple combination pumper that they put together, which I say it carries people, pumps, and has hose. But that was Stations 2, original Station 2 that was built right there at Cressy Park. And in the earlier days, it had a lot of cornfields and stuff behind it. It was before the neighborhood got going good. And what's the next slide we got there? Also, Station 5 is we have what we call annual, not annual, but say every maybe 2 years we get together at the Golden Corral. We'll rent out the room there and invite all the guys back that are still alive. And this is just pictures of some of the guys that come in for, and you can see Lily Darden in there again. She's like, if we bring up fire department, she got to show up because she was like we say, we treated her like she was the mother with 60-something sons. But she's there in that picture. It's a lot of the retirees that come in, and we'll do it we'll have one on the east side. We'll have one on the west side. Station 5 takes care of the west side, and we call that the boys in the hood. And on the east side, the fellas out there, we call them the boys in the woods. They usually throw one, and we'll go out there so everybody don't have to come this far all the time, but we flip it back and forth. But that's another one of the things Station 5 do for those that are away from us that can't come on Mondays. We'll throw what we call the retirees luncheon, and the 125 actually shows up and they record some of the stories from the folks and everything. So it's really nice little event, and we try to hold it every other 2 years on one side of the town because we're getting older now. Shoot, I'm over 70 myself, but I should have said that. I might not. But anyway.
Don't tell anybody that Mr. MacMiller,
Yeah, I'm
because
not gonna
I've
tell
seen
you. I
you
hope
on
I
the
don't look
dance
that
floor.
old.
I've seen
Yeah.
you on the dance floor, and you can make some moves, okay?
Hey, well, you know, who you gonna call?
All
Yeah,
right.
but this is just some more of the folks there. That's Chief Credit. Uh, I worked under him, and we got Eli Curtis, we got Winston. There's a few folks there that I'm sure if they're watching today, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, I should have wore a different shirt," but it's too late now, you know. But that's at the Golden Corral. This is
Uh-huh.
just more pictures of us
I'm
at
sorry.
that last event, you know.
So I'm gonna see if
And,
this can play. This is a little recording of trying to corral all of these firemen in a picture, okay? And it looks easy once you take the shot, but this is a little bit of something here. And let's see if we can and Mr. Ed Cab is very hard to corral. See? Cut it off now. Okay. So that Mr. Ed Cab was hard to corral. All right, that's the next one. Go ahead.
okay, now where we at now?
Uh,
Who is that?
you want me to set that
Right.
up? That's you and President Brown at Station.
Oh, oh yeah, okay. That's well, I think that was one of the first times you guys had actually came to Station 5
Yes.
and noted that I had more pictorial history of the Compton Fire Department. And we're standing in front of my that's a collage of what I call the boys in the hood with Monroe Smith in the center picture. But these are all the people that Monroe brought on in his term of leadership under the Compton Fire Department. These are some of the brothers that I've worked with. Quite a few of them have passed, but we're still trying to hang in there. And you can see in the Station 5, you can actually see some of the accomplishments I guess I have received in my time. And when I retired, my children had a nice little retirement party for me in that little wooden sculpture in the back, which is dedicated to 9/11 when those fallen firefighters, 300, and man, we lost a lot that day. I think that's when everybody started paying more attention to what firemen really do. Is when 9/11 went down, they see that we lost a lot of lives that day, and they was willing to run up when everybody was running out.
Mhm.
You know, like I said, who you gonna call?
So
Yeah.
And one of us.
sorry, I'm going to play a little bit of it because it is also a video that we
Oh yeah.
captured. I'm just going to play a little bit of it. Okay, I'm gonna stop it there because it's an old film. So we don't want everyone coming out Saturday to what was.
I don't
Okay,
know. I couldn't.
okay, I think that's where we stop, and I'm gonna stop sharing our screen. Matter of fact, Mr. Hicks, you wanna go ahead and share our information, and then we're gonna open up for Q&A. I'm sure Mr. Hicks has got a lot that he want to say. Mr. Brown, those on Facebook, you will get an opportunity to ask any questions now to this wonderful fire captain that was a part of the coming up of breaking the color barrier, so to speak, under Chief Monroe, who was the first fire chief for the Compton Fire Department in the city of Compton. So Mr. Hicks is going to share our information. It's on the screen, and anything else that's on his heart.
Wow, that was a great presentation, and thank you so much, Brother Mac, for allowing us to go back in history with you and dive into the firefighters from the city of Compton. That was an eye opener for me, and I'm so glad I learned so much. I'm glad I was able to be here live just to hear your presentation. But I want to thank you, and I want to thank everyone who joined in today. We're going to be having some questions and answers in a minute or two. But I do want to give you our information to contact and reach out to the Historical Society. You can reach us through Yahoo. Our email address is compton125@yahoo.com. Our website is compton125historicalsociety.org. And you can reach us on our phone number at 213-399-2325. We're also on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. So that is our contacts. And now we're going to get into some of the questions that were turned in. But I have a few questions also of Brother Mac, because he's like I said, a rich resource for the city of Compton, someone who came out of the department, the fire department himself, and has a passion and a commitment to keep the history alive of the fire department. My question for you, Brother Mac, is, just looking at the picture of bringing the guys back together for those luncheons you have, that looks like a nice camaraderie. Tell us a little bit about how that makes you feel, and maybe what some of the other guys say about coming together like that. Because as you say, you're all in your upper years, and some of you are leaving us each year. So how does it feel to come together and see the men, you and they're Lily Darden also, so just men and women, but mainly men you work with and who you consider your brothers and family?
Yeah, you know what? We just had passing of one of the Black chiefs that I watched from the LA County area. That his name was Herschel Clady, and he just passed. And when I was doing the Monroe for Black History, I called this brother, and he shows up for everything when I mention Monroe, because through Monroe, a lot of these chiefs got the inspiration to better themselves and upward management, and through his leadership became more potent to be more what I call rise themselves in the Black heritage in the fire service. And Herschel Clady, he was one that I called that day, and he passed that night. And they just had his services this past week. And I just want to dedicate my avenue today in his memory of Herschel Clady. He was one of Monroe Smith's proteges under the regime. He was like, if he touch you, you're going to become a winner, that type of attitude. But everybody wishing that we could do it more often, they're saying, because time is getting, a lot of us ain't walking as good no more, don't drive at night. So we got to do everything sort of earlier to make it happen. But we're going to start doing them more often. And that's what they wish, because we rather see each other now than see each other at the end and say nice things when we can say it to your face. So it really helps. And that's why I like keeping that Monday thing going, because it keeps everybody in tune to what's happening, who's feeling bad. And we all get together and we'll send them wish you wells or flowers if it's that bad. It's camaraderie, and fire service is a family type thing, because you got to live, sleep, and eat with them. And you learn more about them. You watch their kids grow, because you're too internet. You hear talking on the phone when we're at work, when there's a problem, and we're sort of like our own. What do we call when you need to talk to someone? We talk to ourselves, and because we all got the same type of issues. We all away from our homes for 24 hours. So you got to have a special type of relationship, a special type of familyship, to where when he's gone, you all can preserve and make it, because he ain't going to be back for 24 hours. And when he do come back, some of the things he might have seen could be so devastating and traumatic that all he wants to do is just go home and relax. Sometimes you promise your family you want to do things and you can't, because mentally you're not ready for what you promise to really do. So it's a special breed of brotherhood. And once you get into that family, you're always in that family.
Yeah. Amen. Man. Wow. That's great. Now, I know, I'm sure Minister Brown has, and Reverend Brown has a question for you. But before I forget, because I was just thinking about it. I saw you at the community center a week ago doing Black History event, and you had a table there, and I got to talking to you, and it's a small world. I didn't know that you was also, before you joined the Compton Fire Department, you were in the Navy. And you in the Vietnam era, as I was in the Navy. And so that's something we have in common with both Navy vets. And so talk a little bit about, I know, briefly about how your experience was while you served in the Navy.
Oh man, I was in Compton High School, and I remember, let me take it back even further. I remember I was in Laurel Elementary. Me and a buddy of mine named Ed Cabs, we was on the playground, and we had this little talk about, because back then Vietnam was always on the news. You just kept seeing them shooting, digging in dirt, and just all the time. And I remember telling Ed that I'm so glad, and we're in the 4th grade now. I said, I'm so glad this war will be over before it gets to me. Well, that didn't work. I ended up graduating out of Laurel, went to Enterprise, graduated out of Enterprise, went to Compton. And I was getting ready to graduate out of there. And just after graduation, I get this little paper talking about, you got a new family member called Uncle Sam, and he wants you to participate in his extracurricular activities in the war zone. And I was like, what the heck? So they wanted me to join the Army, and I ran and joined the Navy, because I just couldn't see myself what I saw on TV. So I sort of ran there real quick and joined the Navy, and I ended up going overseas, and I was in the what we call the Tonkin Gulf, which is the air support for the troops on the ground. Aircraft carriers would float in this area. We actually treat it like a yacht club, because we call it the Tonkin Gulf Yacht Club. And when your ship was in the scenes, it's one of those you could see the overturn. So you had to spend a year over there giving them air support. And when I was ready to leave, I had this weird feeling that when a brother came to me and that was relieving me, and I asked him, I said, hey man, are you married, or do you have any children? I'll take your place. and I traded. I did it twice. So I spent 3 years, 11 months, 10 days in Vietnam before I came home. And excuse me. And it was the war was over. They told me I had to go. I mean, I was I was sort of mentally overworked, because I decided that I wasn't going until it was over. When the war was over, I came home and spent a year in the hospital because I got injured over there. Didn't realize how bad I was injured, but I got injured, and I spent a year in the Naval Regional Medical Center. And when I got out, I wanted to become something fruitful, but they told me I'd never walk again without an implement. So I spent a wheelchair time. I spent time on crutches, and then I spent time on a cane. Well, I've sort of got a cane again, so I guess it's coming back around. But it worked out. But I was told I'd never walk again. I couldn't believe that. I wouldn't believe it. And I started working in the nuclear industry. I built piping systems for the nuclear reactors in San Onofre. It don't even work no more. I outlived it. And I did a couple more in different other areas. But when the 3 Mile Island broke, and I don't know if you remember that, when the nuclear reactor back east had a problem, and they shut down the nuclear systems for a while. So I applied for the fire department. And when I applied for the fire department, my first choice was LA County. And I made it onto the drill school. But man, let me tell you something. The fire department is nothing easy to get into. I could tell you some things that you would think I should be walking with Martin Luther King, some of them brothers, because we really had some difficulties. The blacks was not really wanted in the fire service at that time. And LA County, I came in with 103. You can only get 100, but I had 103.38 was my total scores. And I became LA County drill school. And during that drill school, I learned that we're not really accepted like I thought. And I wasn't ready for any type of what I call black racism type things, but the county had it bad, man. They told me one day that there'll be no ethnic grouping on your breaks. In other words, blacks couldn't talk. It ain't but 5 of us. Out of 200, we only had 5 in the whole class. And we could not talk on breaks. So I got together, we would study after school, and they would never let us even be trained together. So you got these billet stations where you get to go, and actually they'll call your name because you have a big room with numbers on the floor, and they just call your number out. You stood on 52, they say 52, go to number billet station 6. And out there is for 5 people. And I never got to work with black people until one day. One day, over 3/4 of the drill school was over with. And one day, so we got together at my house every evening and practiced our drills, and we studied. And I made what we call rock, paper, scissors, because they got different hose drills. And I would do like rock, paper, scissors, you could do, and we would make signals with our hands. So when they told one of us what the drill would be, I would stick my hand on the dog with the covers the engine, and I'll hit it, and I'll point with my fingers what we're gonna do. And we called it rock, paper, scissors. So we never had to use it, but I always thought if we ever work together, we'll never make mistakes because we'll know. One day, they sent me to my billet station. Next thing, they sent another one. Next thing, all 5 of us ended up at the same billet station. But we didn't have no training captain. We just standing there. I'm watching everybody else, because there's a bunch of, because they got 200 people and 5 at each spot. You got to have a lot of different training spots. So I'm just standing there, and we all ain't doing nothing. And I told them, I said, today, rock, paper, scissors may be what's going to have to work. They say, well, so we practice. We sitting there doing, like we're doing rock, paper, scissors. And when we finally, here comes this captain. I'll never forget him. Captain Price. Never forget him. He walked over to us. We five stood tall. We said, "Good morning, sir." He looked at me and said, "It ain't no damn good morning because I'm 20 minutes late. They're going to make me train." And they use the N word, "you sons of guns." Our mouths just did like this. We didn't know what to do. We just looked and we just said, rock, paper, scissors. He didn't know what we was talking about, but we knew what we had to do. And that day was one of the worst days of my life with the county, because this man here didn't have nothing good to do or say, because you get demerit points. I know all you guys have been through the county, you know what I'm talking about. You do something wrong, you get 1 to 5 points. If you correct yourself, you get 1 point. If you don't, you can get 5 points. Blacks, you got 5 points no matter if you correct yourself, if you correct it, or if you didn't even do it. They would slowly give you enough demerits to run you off the hill. Once you get a certain amount, they just tap you on the shoulder, punch you outside. They take your shoes off. Why they need your shoes? They took them back. They take your belt buckle. Now your pants is halfway falling off. You're standing there under the flagpole. I didn't have a way home because I carpooled. So I had to wait for one of them to drop me off back in Compton with no shoes on, no belt, holding my pants, with my pride in my hand. They told me I would never be what they call worthy to be a fireman. That's what they told me. I wanted to do something very bad that night, but I decided to take a test for every fire department around LA County. That's what my mama told me to do, to prove to them if they're right, everybody else would say the same. But no, I came out number 1, or excuse me, put this out. I was the first black hired for El Segundo. The first black hired for the city of El Segundo. You would think I've been walking around with Martin Luther King or something. I'm not that old, but this was the first black, and they promised me a job. I was the 13th black hired for Long Beach. That city been there for 200 years. I'm the first black hired for Long Beach. I ain't that old, but I was the 13th black hired for Long Beach. Out of 200 years, they finally getting the 13th black hired, and it would have been me. Wow. They didn't want to give me veterans points. They wouldn't give me my veterans points. They said my war was too old. They tell black folks anything to try to discourage you from the fire service back in the day. It was one of these type of things. If your father passed, your son got the job. And our fathers wasn't in it, so our sons was never getting the job. It took a lot of folks to get blacks through. And that's why I say Monroe Smith was the Jackie Robinson west of the Mississippi. Nothing. This man, and that's when I chose to come to Compton. They hired me in December to swear me in, and I started. El Segundo called me New Year's Eve. Chief Burton, I'll never forget him. He retired a battalion chief, moved up a captain, moved up an engineer, moved up a firefighter to get me on. But I didn't like the way they invited me in. That wasn't cool. I went there one day with the chief on what you call a ride around just to see the things. And he took me to one station. They asked the chief when they walked in. Chief was a big man. I walked behind him so they didn't see me. And he asked, "Hey man, you want a cup of coffee?" And I stepped out saying, "Yeah, I might have a cup." Everybody jumped up and went to the coffee pot, grabbed their cups. No coffee, just their cups. And we sat down. This is what it is to be in the fire service. And it's not easy to this day. That's why I feel so hard and so to see the blacks and browns in the Compton community get a job, because it was hard. Monroe made it easy. Monroe made programs that where we can come in at 14 and start working and learning. Charlie Coleman ain't here today, but he's the one that was the chief of the fire trainee program for explorers. He was great at it. He worked hard at it. I was one of the first advisors for the Explorer program. And there's kids on there today that are paramedics because of me. When I get off my engine, I talk to the youth, tell them what we got, tell them what Monroe put in. I mean, if you just look at some of the programs that came after Monroe, I'm going to read them to you a little later, and you'll know. This man done more for the fire service in the city of Compton than anybody to this day, past, present. He can't be beat. On my team, he's number one. But anyway,
well, Mac, you're number one on our speaker series today and this year, and I've learned so much from you. I want to personally thank you for your fire service, but also your military service. And so you've gone through quite a bit to serve this country. You stand dedicated by helping others, especially the youth, to come up. You're providing a framework for keeping the history of firefighters in Compton alive for many, many generations to come. And so I just again want to thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation today. I know we're not through, but I'm gonna turn it over to my president and our chief operating officer to see if they have anyone that has any other questions.
Okay, well, man, I'm glad we're going to 4 and we still got a little time, because for us, the Historical Society, a lot of things we get from individuals who we approach about their stories is kind of basic. It's like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did run track. And yeah, I did win a medal. And yeah, I did go to the war. And yeah, but you know, I'm just so blown away by the depth of the stories and the experiences that our people have gone through, that for years, probably just amongst themselves, they may have just had their story locked inside their hearts and share it amongst their friends. But here it is, all these years later, we're able to talk to one of the captains, highlighting his story, his history, his experiences that probably was very, very traumatic, you know, because I almost went to tears just now, just listening to what this one chief, captain, experienced in his life and in his coming up. And I'm just like blown away at how you survived and are still able to carry on without no grudges. I mean, maybe there might be, you know, those little thoughts of, you know, I might want to do something like thing, but to continue on with such tenacity, to wanting to live and wanting to do, and then just realizing the depth that you went to, Mac, to present to the world Chief Monroe Smith, who, you know, not only just broke the color line, but he probably went through and endured so much heart-wrenching trauma just to be who he is, and to be able to raise up other men and women to follow behind him. It is phenomenal, and I just can't express enough what I'm feeling and how thankful I am that we have this platform where you get to share your story, where it will be perpetual and it will be there for an eternity for anybody that wants to know what the individuals in Compton had to go through in order to become a chief, in order to become a captain, in order to be a part of something that is long lasting, that does anything good in the community. Thank you. That's all I can say. But in segueing this, I have several things. One, we want to do an update on Mr. Charlie. There was an emergency, and of course, you know, Mr. Charlie is very dedicated to his what he does, and so he's not with us today, but he was called back to the station with something important that he had to take care of, and so of course that takes priority. What we'll do is probably have him come on, because he's a walking history book by himself, and at another time for him to share and give him his dibs, so that you all could hear what one person has done as a volunteer, not being paid, but showed up every single day for over 40 plus years to a place where he's not getting any money. He probably wasn't even liked, you know, I mean, amongst his peers he was. But to make a long story short, where Charlie Coleman, his part comes in, we'll revisit that and open the floor so that he can come back and share his history. Other than that, we do have, I'm going to let you speak again, but we do have a few questions, and we want to just break to say thank you to those that are on Facebook. We are not forgetting, we see your questions. There's a bunch of questions on here, and we want to thank you all for joining us today. I'm touched, I don't know about you, but I'm touched by Mr. Mack's history and his story and what he had to go through. And man, I'm telling you, when we first met him and I walked into his Station 5 and I saw what was going on, I was blown away that this secret was, this hidden gold mine was in somebody's house where he was collecting all these things. He didn't talk about his album of death. I don't want him to call names, but he has collections of stuff that you will not find anywhere. I am telling you, it's amazing what he has done with preserving the history of Compton's fire department and the men that go there. So kudos to you. And would you believe that this morning, as on our way coming, I took a few photos of it on, what is that, Alondra or Alondra, our firemen were out there rescuing somebody again. 41 and 42 were together. And I said, you got to turn around so I could get a picture of this. And so I took a picture of 41 and 42 doing their thing. So kudos to all our firemen out there. Thank you for your service. Now, what I want to do is there's some questions on Facebook. There's some questions on Facebook, so we want to entertain that. And the first one is, how many stations exist? No, let me retract. Were the stations always integrated, Mr. Mack? That was number one.
You talking about in the city of Compton?
Yes.
Or period?
In the city of Compton. I'm not sure. I think it was in the city of Compton, and the one that asked the question, maybe you could make that clear, but you can just double up on that, Mr. Mack, and share what your thoughts are on that.
The city of Compton was predominantly all white department until early, let's say it was Monroe came there in 71. We had a young man by the name of, give me a hot second here, Shattuck and Captain Malone. Captain Malone was the first Black firefighter for the city of Compton. There was one before that, I can't mention his name, but he got washed out, the very first one. Now check this out. At that time, Blacks in the fire service was so rare. It was the first guy that came on, they got rid of him by saying money in the kitchen kitty came up missing. This is how they got rid of the first Black firefighter. They blamed him for missing money in a cookie jar in the kitchen, which he did not mess with. Black man getting in the fire service, you would not even take a cookie out the cookie jar. Much like the cook fund, you know, they have a little deal where we put money together just to buy groceries. That has never been proven. It was just a statement. And if you have no one else there to protect you, all they gotta say is you did it. And how do you prove it? But after that, like I say, it took people like LeGrand Craig, who helped change the testing procedures to where we went to a 3-test period. Because we used to use LA County testing deal back in the day when Beverly Winston and them was all into that type of atmosphere. They came to Compton and actually set up a 3-tiered testing thing to where it gave Blacks a better opportunity to pass these tests. And so we had what we call, white flight. Because when they was accepting 1 or 2 Black firefighters, but a Black chief, that was not easy to swallow. A lot of firemen quit. They quit. When Monroe came on, they quit. They went elsewhere or they quit. They was not working for a Black man. That's not happening. So the integration, when Monroe came on in 71, he changed the uniforms. He had one of the white firefighters actually designed a new patch for when Monroe came on. So he was reaching out to help or try to, what I call, intertwine.
Right, inclusion.
But it's hard. I'm telling you that the fire service is one of the most nepotism type situations that you got in because of your family. Your father's job was your job. All you had to do is wait till he quit. It wasn't testing. They just brought him on, So when we started doing it and we finally started bringing on more Blacks and Monroe just changed it. He just gave us the opportunity. He created it.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you. I'm gonna segue a little bit and thank you for that, and thank you for the question on Facebook. But in our Zoom here, we do have some individuals that's joined us. Some of them are off camera, and I see that Richard is here. And first thing is, we would like to know if those that are in the room have any questions that you would like to ask, if you'd like to come on camera and introduce yourself. And what I'll do right now is I'm going to give Richard an opportunity to introduce himself, if he has a question for our guest speaker today, and just let us know who he is and where he is coming in from. Hi, Richard.
How you doing?
Great.
No.
Yeah. Hey, Unc.
What's up, man?
How you
That's
doing?
one of my proteges right there. He's
definitely speaking the truth.
Love you, man. I met this man. How old were you?
14.
14.
What did I tell you?
He told me he's gonna make me a firefighter. If that's what I really wanted to do, he was gonna make sure that happened. Him and my dad were really, really close. I love fire engines since I was 2. Uncle Mac came around all the time on his fire engine, and I was just excited. So when I got old enough, I asked him, I said, well, how can I become a firefighter? I want to be a firefighter. He said, how old are you? So I don't think I was quite old enough at the time. He said, when you turn 14, I'm going to start you in this program. And I started in that program at 14. I got hired when I was 29. I've been on the fire department now 21 years. Compton Fire Department it's home for me. I grew up in Compton, graduated from all Compton schools. So I'm just a Compton kid that wanted to be a firefighter and just wanted a way out. I grew up in these Compton streets my whole life. So I try to tell people all the time that you can be either a follower or you could become a leader of some sort. I chose to go that path with the help of Uncle Mac, who at that time, the Compton Fire Department was predominantly Black. That was one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to go to Compton. I tested for other departments before getting hired there, and I could have went to any department. Compton called me on a Monday to offer me the job, and San Diego called me on a Friday. And it was a Black chief from San Diego that called me to offer me the job there. And I told him, I said, Compton called me Monday and I already took the offer. And he said, that's the reason why we were calling you for here, because we knew that you had the experience coming out of Compton, which all of the training that I had from that age, 14 to getting hired, helped me a lot, a great deal. So Uncle Mac know how appreciative I've been with him helping me become a firefighter, along with my mom and my dad, and just everybody in that fire department pretty much raised me. So I had a bunch of dads in that fire department to guide me in the right direction. Like I tell people, if I hadn't became a firefighter, I might have been that guy in that mask doing something that I shouldn't have been. Yeah. So once again, now I have a family, been married for 25 years, 5 kids, and all that's accredited to Compton Fire Department and being able to guide me from a youngster to now.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so
Fantastic.
much, Richard, for sharing. And we're so glad you were able to make it on today. I'm going to just get my video off because it's I don't know, it's got the jitterbug. but it's such a pleasure to meet you, and the connection between you and this great captain that's coming out of Compton and his story, and just Chief Monroe and his story, and how the legacy of that one man is continuing on through the lives of these other people. And you now, as the younger, not that you're young, but the younger of the Compton Fire Department, you know, such rich history and such a wonderful service that you all are giving to the community. And we're just so thankful that the Historical Society has this platform where we can let the world know. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is rewriting the narrative talk that people have concerning the city of Compton and the people in Compton, and thinking that they're going to die as soon as they turn the corner in the city of Compton. And I'm just so thankful that we have this platform where we can highlight our people and let people know that we've got greatness, gold, diamonds, rubies. I mean, all of the wonderful stones that you could think of, we have it here in the city of Compton. And it's an honor and pleasure to meet you, Richard, and continue to do what you're doing. So I've got to share it around a little bit. We do have some more questions and comments on Facebook, but I know President Brown is kind of itching. I'm going to pull his coattail if it takes too long, but he's itching to say something. So I'm going to turn over to him, and then he's going to give it back to me.
Yeah,
so we can continue.
Mac, I just want to tell you, sir, you did a wonderful presentation to us and the viewing audience here on Facebook. But I have a question, Mac. I want you to tell our audience, when did you come to Compton, when your parents moved here to Compton? Tell them how much fun, and how much you enjoyed growing up in Compton, and then you shared a little earlier about the different schools you went to in Compton. But just tell us a little bit about some of the fun and some of the challenges you had growing up in Compton.
All right, Reverend Brown. I started my South Central. I spent my first years in for 120th Street and Compton Avenue, and at that time, Palm Lane was a project area that is now Martin Luther King. If anybody go to Martin Luther King and see that big row of palm trees,
Right.
that was the only part of Palm Lane they actually kept. And I lived across the street from right there on the corner of 120th. And I hated to go to Palm Lane for anything because the boys in Palm Lane took it real. I lived in a house, and I guess that was just a segregation set right there. I'm in a home, and they in these little project-looking areas. And when I go over there to borrow a cup of sugar, I was good to get back with a quarter cup to a half a cup because it's hard to run with a cup of sugar.
Right.
But anyway, when I left there, I went to Fontana, and Fontana was just before I went to Fontana for the first, second, third, and just before I started the fourth grade, my mama had to get me out of there because Fontana was not an area where blacks lived at that time.
Right.
And the school I went to, my family was the only blacks in the school. So my complexion sort of helped me until I got on the bus. But my brother, Jeff MacMiller, was a little darker complected, and he got harassed in the school, and I got harassed after school. You would swear to God, Don King would ride the bus with me because they would always, I'm on the bus by myself, and if you missed the young bus, what I mean the elementary bus, I had to catch the junior high school bus that take me past the elementary school bus, but the bus man let me ride on the bus steps because those two little steps you go to get up on the bus, that was the safest spot for me at the time because if we went in the back, they would go through my lunch and try to diagnose what black people ate and what was it in. And then they would open up my sandwiches and put it back together like I'm going to eat it later, you know, because they would treat me like I was an experiment when I caught the bus. But when we got off the bus, when I did get on the right bus to get home on, they would grab my wrist and say, make a fist. And I'd make a fist, and they would grab a white guy and make a fist. And if our fists was the same size, that's who I had to fight that day when I got off the bus. So I had a lot of boxing before I left Fontana to come back to Compton. And I was glad because I couldn't even join the Boy Scouts out there. What's the first ones? The little blue outfits. Cub Scouts? Cub Scouts. That's it. Ain't that Cub Scouts? They wouldn't let me join the Cub Scouts because I was not the right color. They told my mama that me and my brother and one more black name, his name was David White. But he was the darkest one of the bunch, but his last name was White. It didn't match to me back there, but I'd always tease him about that. But it was three of us in our a Boy Scout meeting, and my mama had to be the den mama because they would not let us join anybody else's Boy Scout back then. So I left that and came straight to Compton. And you talking about happy? Oh my God, a school where I was the lightest person in the school, you know? So coming back to an all-black school back then was as much fun, and I actually got to relax and enjoy it. And I was one of them type of people that since racism started on me in an early life, I was one of the type that didn't want to do average things when I came to Compton. I was like, I wanted a jet and ebony route and not a paper route. To me, the paper route didn't stand for black folks. It only stood for white folks at the time to me. And I always wanted to be orientated to my people. So I walked through Compton. And back then when I walked through Compton, it was still a lot of white folks. We couldn't go east of Santa Fe without trouble. So I would walk with a jet bag They had a red bag with the word Jet and white on it and ebony's in my hand. And I went door to door selling them. And I remember knocking on some white folks' door because I would be one of these type that don't want to come home till I sold them all. My mama didn't like that. But I would knock on the door and I could hear people saying, "Who is it?" And I'll say, "Would you like to buy a Jet magazine?" And they'll go, "We can't fly no plane. Why we want a Jet magazine?" I just started laughing. I said, "No, it's not about planes. It's about black people." And they would just, oh man, I had some white folks that feel sorry for me and would buy the magazine just to let me go home. Because I told them I can't go home till I sell them. So they would just, "Here, man, give me a bag." And I don't know what they did with it, but I would do that. But when I worked at the first Colonel Saunders in Compton, right there on Rosecrans and Central. I don't know if y'all remember it, but it was owned by Willie Knowles, who played basketball for the Knicks. I don't know if y'all knew that, but when on the 1st and the 15th, you know, back in the days when they used to give you a cake or a pie for every bucket, remember them days? Or they would give away, and I still got it. They give away some Black History things. They gave away a poster of Martin Luther King one time. I still got that. But I worked there until I got what I call drafted, because I started working at 16 at a payroll check job because my mama, we had this problem with check to check. I hate that. Ooh, I hate the term check to check. I swear to God, I erased it from my vocabulary once I got old enough to get me a job. And I started working at 16, and my mama told me she would sign for me a car if I kept a C average and if I could pay full coverage car insurance. And in the city of Compton, you know what full coverage car insurance would cost a Black kid in the city of Compton? I won't able to tell you how much it was costing me. But I paid that and my car note. And I went to Laurel when I first got back here. That's when I met folks like Paula Howard and folks like that, and enjoyed just, oh man, and what was that? Wilma Dixon, Alice Figueroa. Back then, I could almost count all the Hispanics by name because it wasn't as many as them in my class at the time. You know, if you ever look at the Compton graduation picture for 1970, we filled up a rack at a stadium over there. We must have had 800-900 people back then. And you can find me because I got the Colonel Saunders tie on. If you ever look at that, I took Colonel Saunders tie for my job and wore that for the graduation picture day that day. So, and I had one of, I think the second biggest afro back then. I had a pretty big afro back then because cutting hair wasn't cool. But when the afro came out, I used to pat my down because my mama wouldn't get my hair cut as regular as I wanted it. And then when the afro came out, I was pulling that stuff out. I was combing it all out. And had a nice size little afro, but then she wanted to start cutting my hair because it started fitting something that I guess she didn't think was right back then. But I had a nice time growing up in Compton. You know, teen pose and we had to be in when the lights came on. You know, and if you didn't get home in time, you never got the big piece of chicken, you know. So it was good life. I really worked hard. I kept me a payroll job since I was 16. Had my car paid off before I left to go to Vietnam when they drafted me. And matter of fact, that helped pay off my mama co-signed for it. So that made them get a brand new wash and dry. I remember when they had paid the car off, they had extra credit going on. We got a brand new washing and dryer behind that. I was at the Curtis Matthews television set. We got something big, I remember. But life in Compton was not bad at all. And I used to go down to that what do you call that, off of Central. They had that where they would make Best Pocket Parks, and they first started the Watch Parade. They had us marching in that back in the day. CCSC, whatever that was called back then. But anyway, I didn't have a bad time. You know, like I say, I left Compton straight out of high school and never turned back, man. I ended up going to Vietnam straight out of high school. And you heard a little bit of that story, but when I came back, I wanted to be a fireman. And Compton gave me the opportunity to me the best I could be in my community. And I got that to thank by Monroe Smith again.
Okay,
Ah, man.
Mhm.
thank you.
Any other questions on it?
Yes, we want to thank you, Mac, for your heart and your passion, your drive. Still pushing real strong, and I don't know, but you do it in a very lovely way. It's not abrasive, but it's forceful.
Yeah.
Because whatever you want, you see, you have a vision for, you're going for it. And it's really good to have that kind of drive in, when you're passionate about something. And I really believe that all the individuals, I'm going to see if I can come back on camera for a second. All the individuals that have gone before us to do all this work that is now what we call history. You are actually one of the living people that are still trying and pushing for positive things to happen from the perspective of where you know it from. And that's good, because too many of our perspectives or the way we do things are being lost. And so it's good to have someone like you still pushing. And thank God for Richard that's here as a testament to that push and that care and that concern for another individual to want to see them come out to be something great. So for
Yeah.
those of you that are on Facebook, if you're a young person and you're looking to be a part of something, I think with Mr. MacMiller being an advisor of yours, or still being a part of an integral part of the fire department, and you're out there thinking whether you should join or not, I think you should go visit Mr. Mac and let him give you the 411 on everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and also the better life and the rewards that you get out of it. We do have some questions still here on Facebook. I want to get to those because I want to honor our those that are viewing. And if Sheila and Sharon Garland's iPhone and Sheila X, if you're on here and you would like to ask a question and something's burning on your heart, please, you can open your mic. If you want to stay incognito, I understand. Right, that's okay. But if you would like to open your mic and say hi to Mr. Mac, or just
hey Mac, hey Earl,
go ahead.
how are you guys? Hi, how you guys doing?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm at work today, so I got on when I came back from a run. So we've been running these streets in this rain. It's been really busy, but it was, yeah, I got to hear a little bit of your story, Mac. That was really nice. And Earl, I got to hear yours. I don't know if they're aware, but I work for the Compton Fire Department. I've been here for 36 years here in the city of Compton. Wow. A lot of people don't know, but I was born in Compton. I got hired with Mac. Mac was instrumental in my career. When I came on, he was at the testing site when I took the physical agility. I do remember that. Johnny Randall. Quite a few of the guys were there. So I came on in a time when women were not accepted or wanted in the fire service. But when I started testing, I was from the city of Compton. I was born here, and my parents moved us away because we're interracial. So I have a Black mother and a white father. So my father and my mother thought it was best to live around white people because she felt that she could deal with white people trying to beat up her kids versus black people trying to beat up the mixed breed, you know, the light-skinned ones. So she took us out to the San Fernando Valley. Oh,
Yes, indeed.
oh, he does have it. There you
You
go.
know, Mac
That's
got all the
me.
history, Sheila. You know he do.
Sheila, you
I don't even
mentioned,
have that.
I will show you pictures, girl, of things you won't believe I have.
I don't have that.
You know something? I got something else I'm gonna show you here that you're gonna probably jerk a tear off of. But I'm gonna show you something. Check this out, baby girl.
Oh, yeah. That was a long time ago. Herschel
I'm
Clady,
telling you,
right? Is that who I'm
Herschel
looking at?
Clady,
Yeah,
he
that's right.
passed. You know,
He was
when
very
Herschel
instrumental
Clady
in
was
my
trying to
career.
become, when Herschel, I got pictures way back when when Herschel was trying to get promotions. There you can see Compton fires
Yeah,
in support of him coming out of the federal court building.
that's right. Absolutely, we did.
You know what I'm saying? I can take you
Absolutely.
back. I can take you way back, baby girl. I'm proud of her, though. She was something that Monroe was proud of bringing on the fire department. And I was there. I photographed almost everything the department did while I was there. I got pictures of everything. This book here is just called the Herschel Clady Promotional Book because I was there for his promotions and everything. I mean, I couldn't get to his funeral because they chopped trees down and blocked all my cars in with all this tree trimming. And I missed his funeral. That was really, it bugged me. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I got up and it's just the whole street was full of trees.
Wow.
I'm glad they chopped it because this last wind would have did me in. But yeah, I'm glad to see you, Sheila. When you plan on retiring, girl? Because I gotta be there.
Well, it's only been 36 years. I came on in
Only?
1986. Yeah,
Oh,
only 36 years. Only.
I'm
They
proud of
haven't
you,
ran
girl.
me out of here yet. I'm holding on and trying to do the right thing and trying to push these brothers up, you know, trying to
It
stay
takes
strong for
one
them.
to teach one.
Pardon me?
It takes
That's
one to
right.
teach one. You
That's
know,
right.
I
I'm
just
just
hope
hoping
that
that one of them can take my place. So when I'm out of here, you know, we get one to come in and take my place. That would be really nice. But my time is ending soon.
yeah,
I plan on ending this ride, I should say. And it's been a great ride. It wasn't the greatest in the beginning, but with time things got better because women weren't in the fire service when I came here. So, but it's been a wonderful ride and I've enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed this department and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful to Monroe Smith. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. And if it wasn't for him personally calling me when I was going to turn this job down because I was scared to come to Compton, I was not scared of Compton, but I had gotten a job. When they called to hire me, I was working for UPS. So I had a very good job. And I was scared to leave my good job that was paying my bills and finally able to feel like I was doing something. And I thought, wow, if I give up this job and they fire me in the academy, I just quit a great job.
Yeah.
And I was scared. And he actually personally called me with Herschel Clady. They both called me. First, Herschel called me and he said, Monroe Smith wants to speak to you because they found out I was going to turn the job down. I wasn't going to come to Compton. And so first Herschel got off the phone and said, Monroe's going to call you right now. And I'm like, okay. And he called me and I said, well, I don't want to come there and lose my job. I have a good job. I can help my mother out. You know, I come from a large family. I have 7 siblings and my mother was a single parent. And I still, at that time, was living at home. And I'm like, no, I can help my mom, my family. And so when he called me and he said, no, you're going to be fine. Just do what you need to do. Stay strong. Don't back down. I believe in you. He told me all the right things I needed to hear during that time in that conversation. And I said, okay, I'm going to go for it. And I just trusted him. I had to put all my faith in him that I was going to survive, that I was going to get through the academy, because I've known so many women that have not made it. And this was the beginning of women coming in the fire service. Women had not been in the fire service in LA County or LA City, but a few. And we only had, at the time, my best friend had just got hired a month before me. So I got hired in October. She got hired in September in the city of Inglewood. So it wasn't a lot of women. And I had one other friend that got hired in the city of Oxnard. At the same time, we got hired like within 2 months of each other. So it was pretty scary at the time. And I'm like, I don't know. And I did it. I went out on faith, and here I am 36 years later and holding on and still doing it. And I'm happy. I come to work happy. I'm not an unhappy person. I know we have issues in this city. I know what it was like when I came to this city. And this city may have had gangs. It may have been a lot of violence here. And I was a Girl Scout walking into a war zone. That's what they used to tell me. And I don't know if Mac started that or Steve Powell. They were, Steve Powell was an old firefighter here. And he told me I was a Girl Scout walking into a war zone, because there was a lot of gang violence back in those days. And every day you came to work, you were seeing killings, shootings, stabbings. There was just so much violence here. But even with the violence here in this community, it was beautiful. City Hall was beautiful. The outside had the most beautiful trees made like animals. I remember when I went to City Hall to turn my paperwork in, there was elephants and bears and different type of sculptures that were made out of trees in front of City Hall. I don't know if you remember these trees. I know
remember.
Mac does, but I don't know if anybody else on this phone remembers those beautiful trees and the flowers that were in front of City Hall. And I remember those, and I remember the things that were beautiful here. Because one thing I don't take is pictures of my incidents. So when I go on a call, and I know Mac coming from Vietnam, there's so many things that we see that our eyes should not see. And we have to learn to get through these days every day, working in a war zone of the city of Compton, how it was back then. But I never took pictures of the violent things that I seen. So I don't have all those things, thank God. Some of them, I have some of them, but I'm not going to say I have all of them in my head, praise God. But I do remember the beautiful things that were here in Compton. And I surely would have loved to see those things before I retired. And I would just love to see the city of Compton's City Hall cleaned up and beautified. And the gentleman, I don't know if it was Mr. Goings, was here during the time, but there was a guy, and I'm sure you remember, Mac, he used to sweep in front of City Hall, in front of the post office every morning. He would come out and clean up and sweep the streets. Every day when I would come to work, he was always out there with a broom. And he was a citizen. But I remember him, and there was another guy that would clean up, and he lived on Willowbrook, right on the corner. I don't know, Earl, you probably remember that old man, a little short guy. He lived on one of the corners over here, and he would clean up. And there was another man that used to be on his hands and knees and pull the weeds off of Compton Boulevard. Do you remember those guys that used to pull the weeds? I don't know why he did that, but he didn't like weeds, and he would be on Compton, all up and down Compton on his hands and knees, pulling the weeds. But I remember the things that people did to keep this community clean. And I just pray that we can see some of that come back.
Wow.
I would love to see that.
Want to thank Sheila for, I don't know, is that your name, Sheila?
It is. Yeah,
okay.
That's my name, Sheila.
Okay. Yeah. So we want to thank you so much for your contribution today and sharing. and just sharing the thing. And you just prompted me with something. I think we need to have the female side of Compton Fire Department back on a platform. What do you say, Mr. VP Hicks?
Absolutely.
Yes, we want to hear, because we believe in balance. You can't tell one side of the story and not tell the other side. And there's different perspective. And I think with Sheila's entrance into the Compton Fire Department, it was on the crux of also a breaking into as well, where females were not ones that were the prominent ones to get the job that they would say would be manly. You know what I'm saying? So it would be really good. We're going to work on it. And Miss Sheila, if you would allow us to set it up and get your history and bring maybe 3 or 4 of the other female, I would be interested to find out.
Well, honey, I'm the only one.
Oh, you're the only.
I'm the only one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I've been the only one for a very, 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 very,
wow.
very long time.
And we're learning something new here today. And so I was going to ask you, who was the first
I am
female?
the first, ma'am. I am the
first and the only one thus far. Wow.
No, we had another Black female that came on in the 80s, in the late 80s.
Uh-huh.
And she was here with us, I think, a couple of years. And she ended up retiring early.
Oh, okay.
And
all right.
Yeah.
So well, we'd love to have you come back, Ms. Sheila, so you can share, bring your pictures, whatever you have, your memories, tell us about yourself and, just your history with the Compton Fire Department and let it be told to the whole world who you are and all the gold that's here in our beautiful city and that you love so much and work in.
I do love this city.
Yeah,
yes,
so
I do.
And it's a resonate all the way through from 1888 all the way to now. Everybody that we meet that speaks of Compton, that's the next word. I love Compton. That's the next word that comes out of their mouth. I love Compton. So now what I want to do, thank you so much. I don't know if Sharon Garland, I believe, I don't know if that's her name, but she's been off camera for a minute. If you have anything or you want to come on screen and say hello, you don't have to. But if you want to stay incognito, that's fine. And maybe just your voice, you want to share something, let us know that. We can see it in the chat. Also, there are a few more questions on Facebook that I will have to get to. And I'm going to ask a double question to Mr. Mack, or if Mr. Mack will allow any of your fire, what do I say? Comrade to chime in on that would be great as well. So the question is, let's see, how many stations exist in the city today? I see the number 1 on the one on Rosecrans. So how many of the stations are here? And the second question is, part 2 is it true that the Compton firefighters were part of a reality series called First In?
That's true. Okay. First In was true. It depicted not what I would call the true identity of the fire department. A lot of folks sort of stand down toward it than stood up for it, if you can understand what I'm saying. But yeah, it was a reality show called First In. And Compton only has 4 stations. The one on Acacia Street is the headquarters station. We have 1133 West Rosecrans is Chief Monroe Smith's station, and Jim Sherm's Academy is at that spot. A little history on the Jim Sherm's Academy. Monroe Smith, and I remember Murphy and myself, and I think it was Jim Goings. We was all sitting at Station 4 having lunch, and Monroe and we was just discussing a building, remodeling Station 3 to be a EOE, Emergency Medical Center, excuse me.
EOC.
EOC.
EOC. And I remember I brought in a book that showed all the latest fire stations blueprints in the United States. And we all sat there picking stuff like what we liked out of this one, what we liked out of that one. And I remember bringing on the display bays, which they don't have anymore because they took too much cleaning, I guess, to keep all them windows around the outside station where you could actually see firemen slide down the pole and go through the whole system of getting into the trucks and everything from the outside of the station. Because most stations got them little bitty windows and all the doors is all metal where you don't see anything until they really open up. But that was one of the ideas. But you could tell there was a little black touch in that station. If you go to the back of the drill tower, you'll see that there's a barbecue pit built in back there. And you got to understand there was some black taste when we're going to put a tower and barbecue together was one of my ideas that never got the full finish. You know, they built it, but I didn't get to put the doors on it and stuff like that. But it was a part of that history and remodeling of Station 4 back in the day. Me and firefighter Reniker at the time, we actually got money from the chief to go and put individual dorms, walls built up, you know, because I had a little background in construction. Because I did actually 17 units. The first 17 units I had control of was on Acacia and Myrrh. And that's where Monroe was when he was supposed to have been giving me my chief's oral when I came on. He was there looking at some of my the condos that I had designed and built right there on Acacia Street. And when I became a fireman for Compton, I was actually going to the planning the planning office with some blueprints for these townhomes I was supposed to do. Where Racquetball Village is now, we were supposed to build all those the same way we did on Myrrh Street. But I ended up working for the fire department and the contract went to someone else, and Racquetball Village was built by another another company.
Wow.
But that's where Monroe came back, and he told me when the people told him down there that the man that did these works for you now. And when they told him who, was when Monroe came back and he called me to the office, and I was scared being a rookie and hearing the chief saying MacMiller to the chief's office. I was like, woo, something ain't right. So I walked up there like I was walking to the hangman's noose, and I tapped on the door real quietly because everybody watching me walk by, knowing they didn't get no idea why the chief's calling me. I went by my captain's office, and he looked at me and was like, well, I don't know. I walked by the BC's office, the deputy chief's office, and everybody's looking at me like, what have you done? Because we don't know. And I'm looking at it like, why is he calling me? And then when I went inside, and he just opened up and he told me, he said, Mr. MacMiller, I've seen some of your work, and this is what I'm going to tell you. Anytime you come up with any ideas to enhance, make better, anything at this fire department, you just come knock on my door. He had this open door policy that just knocked down what you would call the upward command. And I think that sort of rubbed people a little wrong when they see me going there and just chit chat like I had something going on and I'm a rookie, but it made me feel good. And that's what I think our bonding really got together, when I could tell him things and he would make it work. Like we had this antique that was built by the firemen. You can go to Station 3 and it's still there. Might not be running as fast, but it's still there. And that was actually built by people from this department, firemen on this department. I found all the documentation showing where they bought the nuts, bolts, pumps, everything for that 1934 they got back there. And I told the chief, I said, Chief, you know what? You're the first black chief west of the Mississippi, man. And Chief Block, who was nobody knew at the time, you know, because Compton had it where you could not work for the Compton municipalities, water department, anything, if you was black or brown. So this guy actually, what they call that, fake being white. Chief Block was posing to be white when he was Hispanic. Matter of fact, he would have been the first Hispanic on the fire department if he would have just acknowledged the fact, but he knew they wasn't going to accept that, you know. So he gave himself up on an incident one time where these Mexicans was in trouble and they started speaking Spanish, and Chief Block spoke Spanish like he was speaking it every day of his life. He accidentally slipped. But that's what told. But then the rules had changed. But in the beginning, you could not buy a house, own any property, work for the municipality of the city of Compton if you were black or brown. That's a fact. I read that on documents. So, or sell property. No, you couldn't even be a realtor or nothing.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. We got a few comments here that I want to share from Robert Lee Johnson. He shared that Arnett Hartsfield fought for black firefighters in LA. And then the other, okay, another comment is Fire Chief Derek Young and Ray Gordon came out of Compton. Fire Chief Derek Young and Ray Gordon came out of Compton. That's a little piece of history there. And then Pamela Garrett said, living and lived history maker, thank you for your service and commitment. And another viewer, Mike Bean, said, thank you for loving Compton as much as I do. And so we want to thank all the viewers that are here. What we're going to do now is we're going to give Mr. Carlton MacMiller, and he can tell you why they call him Mac, because I asked him that question. But we're going to give him a final closing remarks or share something that is coming up in regards to what he's doing in regard. You can go also again over the share about the prints that you have of Chief Monroe Smith, and anything else that you would like anyone to know. We're not running out of time, but I just want to give our guest speaker enough time to say or share whatever is on their heart, whatever is on his heart. And if you want to say anything about Mr. Charlie Coleman in his absence and whatever he's continuing to do, we greatly appreciate that. So Mr. Mack, you take it away, and then anyone else who have any final closing remarks or share anything, please do so after Mac, please. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I really enjoyed enhancing my history with the city of Compton and the fire department, which is very, very dear to me. Like I say, I've been hired by more. I got to turn down a few just to be with Compton and do what I do. But I just want to say I really appreciate the things that Compton had made available for me. I was fighting hard to keep Compton from going county. There's a lot of folks that think that this city shouldn't have their own, or this city would do better by having some other fire department. But if you ever ask and sit down and get the truth from every person who's left Compton and ask them, if you had a choice, would you do what you did or would you stay where you are? And 80% would say, I wish I never left. 80% would say it wasn't about the money. Because when you do the paperwork, you'll see that Compton's benefits was a lot better than 99 fire departments around us, as far as what the Compton would do for you and your family. You know, most fire departments, they'll take care of you, but every person you have in your family, they make you charge out of your salary. And when you start deducting all these things, you understand that Compton was a better plan in the long run, you know. But I just appreciate the opportunity it gave me to give back to the community. And back in the day when Monroe was around, he was one that made sure that, I remember him telling me when I first came on, he said, using the service? I said, yes, sir. He says, you got to join the post and become a lifetime member. And I just followed along. You know, me being a military man, I just felt that was something to do. And Compton itself was the firemen back in the day would give more back to the community. I don't know if like people understand that Little League Baseball was brought to Compton through the fire department. A lot of people don't think that, and I'm talking about the big Little League Baseball. I'm talking about Williamsport, to give the kids the opportunity to play in this city and win a chance to go to the World Series of Little League and Williamsport. That was set up by firefighters and the local 2216 members started it. They own the chapter to this day. There's no Little League Baseball in the city of Compton unless it goes through the fire department. They hold the charter. Firefighter, James, it's slipping my mind. Moore. James Moore. He brought and applied for the charter for Williamsport. He asked the firemen to support it. The fire department came out, become umpires, and they bought their own outfits just to make the Little League a better place and look professional. Local 2016 would donate money to buy uniforms for the kids and to pay for registrations back in the day. Today's Compton Fire Department, I wish they would give more to the community, because through Little League, we didn't promise them kids 1% would make it to the big leagues, but we said 99% would become firemen, policemen, public service people, and good citizens of the cities of Compton. This is what we was trying to achieve. Monroe made sure that the kids' opportunities in this community, starting with the Explorer program, the fire trainee program, the reserve program, EMT program, the Jim Sherm's Fire Academy program. Ask yourself, where are these programs today? Ask yourself, does the community have the same as my little nephew, who is a paramedic on this department now? Can he get his kids through the same way he came? I don't think so. They got to go and take some special classes, special deals, and things to make sure they get the opportunity. I would just wish that the city can get together with the fire department and unite in bringing back the programs that will make this community more viable, make the young youth have more chances and an opportunity to have a chance in this community to become what I did, where everybody else on that department in my era, you had a driver's license, a GED, a graduation from a high school. We can make you have the opportunity to be a firefighter, paramedic, arson investigator, you name it. But we got to get the ground roots bases back into this community. We got to give the kids the opportunity that we had. I'm not asking for much, but the other things I'm trying to do to bring the memory, because I've gone to every fire station and I can look in their headquarters and see their past, their history, their chiefs. I don't even see the chief of the department we own today. I don't see his picture. I just put Monroe's picture back, and I'm not going to stop till Parsons, Weatherby, Dow. That's the beginning. Then we're going to go the other way. I'm going to make sure that we have a picture of every appointed chief in Compton's history back in that headquarters station. My next project I'm working on right now, the next project I'm working right now is to change.
I don't want to cut you off. I apologize for this, but I just got to run. It was a pleasure coming on the air with you guys today, having this moment. Thank you so much for hosting this, Compton Historical Society. Thank you, Mac, and thank all the ones that got an opportunity to hear our stories. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Am I back on?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. So these are the things that I just really feel that they are need to be spoke upon. These are the things that bring unity back between the community, the city, and the fire department. The fire department is the first line of defense when anything happens. Who you going to call? It ain't the Ghostbusters. It's going to be 911. So they need to have the best equipment. They need to have the best supporting administration that understands where we're trying to get this community to be in the future. Like, to me, the future just seemed to bloom. When Monroe was in the room, I saw the things that he wanted to do, and I would like to run down a few of the things that this man has brought to this community. So you can understand your past, then you can understand the future of what we need to do. But if you don't learn what your past is about, your future is not going to have much going forward. If you don't know the mistakes you've already made, then not to make them again. The things that were great, don't let them in, if you understand what I'm saying. But when you think about it, and when this man first came on, he actually put into place, he brought on 2 paramedic squads that we didn't have, 2 EMP1 squads. Both was revenue generating programs for the city. We're talking about big money. Have any of y'all took a ride in an ambulance lately and got the bill and found out what it cost you? You ever been seeing what the paramedic bill be when you get service? Mm-mm. But Monroe also brought 18 sworn personnel that were trained as paramedics for this city. 2 members were trained as hazmat specialists, and 2 were trained as hazmat technicians. Several arson cause and origin investigators were trained. Fire Chief Monroe Smith's administration also developed a comprehensive community-based fire protection programs. The community-based fire protection programs included such areas as smoke detector outreach. I've got clippings in the paper where Monroe's got me with drills putting smoke detectors up in people's homes that never had them, free of charge. CPR training programs, teaching you CPR through the city to where if something does happen, we can do something before we get there. Somebody can try to save someone's life. Fire Chief Monroe Smith administration also developed a comprehensive community-based fire protection programs through home fire safety inspections, blood pressure testing. For those that we would set up, you can come get your blood test, and you can come to any fire station to this day and walk in and just say, I'm not feeling like my stuff is right. Can you check me out? And they'll do it immediately. Home fire safety inspections. Home fire safety inspections was actually the first fire department in in Southern California to start that. Nobody was doing home fire inspections. And that didn't happen through the Monroe regime. That happened even earlier when back in, I've got an article where this engine was at the Heritage House. Of all houses in Compton, the Heritage House was the first house to have what they call home fire inspections by the engine companies. And we got engine company public relations and block club meetings where we would show up at your block club meeting to give you anything you needed to relating to fire protection and safety for your block club members. We also had citizen emergency response team training and Hispanic outreach. Fire Chief Monroe Smith, under the needs for proper mentoring and career preparations for Compton's youth, the Compton Fire Department provided a Fire Explorer program, which Dickie was one that I pulled, that I'm very proud of, that stayed and followed into his fire career. And participants receive basic fire and first aid training and learn important values associated with being a firefighter and a good citizen. The Compton Fire Department also developed and provided support for the Jim Shern Fire Academy, which operated through Compton Community College and trained young men and women to become firefighters, provide management oversights, support staff, and the use of equipment and facilities in a joint partnership with the Compton Community College. The Compton Fire Department developed and operated a fire intern and reserve program, which gave valuable hands-on training on fire academy graduates and prepared them for jobs and opportunities with the city of Compton and departments throughout the country. There was so much stuff that went through the school districts for associates of science and fire science degree programs, fire officer certification program, fire academy program, and emergency one technician programs. All that under the Monroe Smith regime, the best fire chief west of the Mississippi. Then, now, and so far in the future. I just wish that all these programs could be re-implemented in the city. And I guarantee you, the community will flourish. Like Sheila was saying, you don't want to lose a good job to try to get a better one. But if you keep your eyes to the prize, you can get on this side. And if there's any questions or anything like that, I would love to help you or understand you. But I just got to say, when Monroe took over, I have been and felt that this was the best place to ever be as a firefighter and work for any fire company in this city or any other city. If I had to do it all over again, I'll be here, but I'll probably stay in a little longer, you know? But the opportunities made it where I could leave when I did. And I left, but my heart is still in the city. Any questions?
Well, Mac, sir, you did a wonderful job. I'm telling you, sir, your presentation, your commitment to the city of Compton and its fire department, and for the Compton 125 Historical Society. You know, I'm sitting here listening to you, make me want to continue the work that we doing, you know, where we can help bring back some of the wonderful things that Monroe Smith did, and you were engaged in it. So, man, I want to encourage you to stay involved. Don't quit. You know, we're going to work with you in making sure history of Compton's Fire Department and the other public services that we do offer to the community, that people know the history, people know what it's supposed to be doing, and we need to get everything back to where it should be. And that's being of great service to this community. So my brother, my classmate, my friend, and I got to tell the public that Mr. MacMiller is also a member of the Compton 125 Historical Society, and he's also one of our researchers and researches various projects to help us preserve the history of this wonderful city. So, Mac, man, I'm gonna tell you talking generated some more questions. So, Minister Brown gonna share with you some of the things that were. Matter of fact, Judge Filer wanted to tell you, great job, great presentation, Judge Filer.
Who was that?
Judge Filer, Kevin Filer.
Yeah, I know him well too.
Okay, so he's watching, and his comment was very cool. Something you were talking, he said very cool, and on Facebook. And then also he said judges, and then he said, I played at Victory Park Little League. Judge Filer played at Victory Park Little League when you were talking about the baseball, the softball, or that history. So, you just never know what you're doing, how it's going to trickle down and affect the next generation. And surely we could see that today in the life of the fire chief and also fire captain, Chief Monroe and Captain MacMiller. And there's so many more that we haven't had a chance to call their names. But I am honored to be in your presence today, Doc. I think you deserve an honorary doctorate. And I don't mean that in a joke. I am serious about that, because what you had to endure in order to be who you are, and then to pass the baton on, it's not just a simple feat. You had to take a lot of hits for people to pave the way. When you think back on the railroad, when it first started, and how they had human beings literally putting in those tracks and hitting with those hammers, those whatever that the things that secure the rail in place. And those men actually use their hands, their blood, their sweat, their tears, their back to beat those things into the ground in order for that big train to run on it securely. That should not be something that's taken lightly. That should not be something like, oh yeah, sure, we got the railway now, but where did it start from? So to me, you are like those people that really had nothing to work with, but made something great out of it and still saved people's lives. Even though there were many that were lost, you still did something to save lives. So I believe you need an honorary doctorate. They need to call you up and say, MacMiller, you're no longer just MacMiller, you're Dr. MacMiller. And how did you acquire that? You're the Dr. MacMiller of the fire department under the leadership of Chief Monroe Smith, the first Black chief to this side of the Mississippi, to break the color line, and also to bring so much programming and the touching so many lives that we see it in Richard today. His spirit lives on in Richard. Your spirit lives on in Richard. And then spirit of Richard is going to live on in somebody else that he passes that on to. And then all of your lives are honed in. So I'm just blown away today. I'm very passionate about the speaker series and finding people. Every time we meet somebody, they always say, well, you know, I just did that. We met a war vet, a World War II vet on the 18th. And I was trying to tell him his life means something. And the gentleman just walked away like, okay, I did that. So it's no big deal. It is a big deal because somebody paved the way for us to be where we are today. And I'm just, my hat's off to you. I have a lot of respect for you, Doc. And you just keep on doing what you're doing. I feel your passion, feel your heart, and whatever we can do as a society to give you whatever assistance you need. I'm bowing for us to step forward. And I know President and VP is here, and the other members will be willing to step up behind you in order to see some of the things that realize some of the visions and the dreams that you have come forth. We are willing to do that because it means that much to you. So with that said, Mr. Charlie, again, we apologize on his behalf. You know, he's a chief volunteer person, and listen, captain over there. And he's doing his volunteer work, and they called him away when he was on his way, and he had to go back and take care of business. So we will open the platform again for him, and I'm very serious that glad I have the opportunity to make these appointments. So our woman fire, is she a fire captain or fire chief, or what is she?
Captain.
She's a fire captain. So we would love to have her back on, and anybody else that you would like to bring with her, you know, just to talk about the female side of this thing. And so to tell all of the history and what Mr. MacMiller means to her, what she means to the fire department, and just bring that whole thing to life. Bring it all to life so that people can hear what's going on in our city, not everybody telling our story. So with that said, I don't know if Mr. Hicks have anything to say. We want to do a few announcements, and you know, we're pretty much on time. We want to talk about membership, Mr. Hicks. You want to talk about that? Donation to the society. If anyone wants to be a part of that, you can talk about all of that good stuff, how they can reach us. Mr. Hicks.
Well, again, it's been a great day, a great presentation, and thank for all the participants who joined us on Zoom and on Facebook. You know, people in the community are, you know, just thank you so much for our leaders in the community checking in today and also commenting and participating. As far as membership, we know we're always looking for new members. We need new members to help our society grow so that we can provide more services to the community at large. So in order to join us, the information we gave out earlier today, you can reach us you know, various ways. You can reach us through our Facebook. That's where most of our current information is housed. That's how many of you are watching today, is on Facebook. So you can reach out to us on Facebook. You can call on the number we provided. But we're on the internet. So if you just go to your device and put in Compton 125 Historical Society, you will see how to contact us and become a member. But please do reach out and invite others to join our activities and become a member of this great society that is looking to preserve and promote the city of Compton. So that's all I have for now. Again, I want to thank everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I want to turn it back over to our Chief Operating Officer, I call her Chief, Minister Brown.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. So we want to thank you again. One of the things, we do have a lifetime membership. We have a few spots left open. It's $35 for the lifetime membership. You pay that one time and you become a lifetime member of the society. And you get some cute little perks that we put together as a society. We hope that you'll enjoy them. The other thing was that we donation. If you want to give again, like Mr. Hicks said, we can do through PayPal. We take PayPal, we take Zelle, and you can, as long as your check doesn't bounce all the way past our door, we will accept that. Okay. What's the other thing? Coming up next is March speaker series will be coming up. And we have another great one coming up, which is Professor Dr. Amun Ra and his son. Okay, junior and senior will be with us, and that should be another amazing time again. If you want to know more and reach us in regards to that, or if you'd love to be a speaker, we still have some months left. The speaker series are planned every fourth Saturday, once per month. So we are going all the way up to November, and we still have some spots left. So if you're interested in being a part of our speaker series and sharing your history, your family history, or whatever you feel that is important to you in regards to the city of Compton, we are willing to hear you and see where you fit in. Also, I want to talk about the archive too. We're collecting historical artifacts, pictures, yearbooks, photos, newspaper clippings, anything that speaks about the history of Compton, we want it. And the reason why this is so important, I'm just going to take just a moment just to elaborate on this. The reason why this is so important for us to have, when we started back in 2013, we went to every library, we went to every college, we went to every institution that we believe that they should have something concerning history on the city of Compton, being that it's so popular. We were only able, Mr. Hicks, myself, and Reverend Brown, we have photos documenting this. We were only able to find 8 small poster boards of Compton's history. Worst situation is we could not find any families, African-American families or Latino families, that is archived anywhere to tell or trace our history. So when we say we need the history of our people, it's because families grow up, they pass it down to the younger generation. Younger generation don't really know the great value of it. They throw it in the trash. And we've heard a lot of stories like that, where people are throwing things away that could be part of the collection that we have in the archive. So all those other cultures, we are not just a Black society. We represent the city of Compton from 1888 all the way to present. We take care of all of the history from the Samoans, the Indians, the Spanish, the Blacks, the whites, Japanese, Koreans, Asians, everyone that Pacific Islanders, everyone that has anything to do with Compton, we collect this history. So if you're out there and you're hearing us and you have something that you want to share to us as a society, we would be more than happy to take the call. You can reach me at 213-399-2325. And I say me because I'm doing a lot of the research, and I'm doing a lot of work on the collection and also booking the speaker series. So if you want, you can call me or leave a message in our messenger on Facebook, or just call us at the number 213-399-2325.
That's it.
Anything else?
No, you did it well.
So thank you, Mr. MacMiller, and we will be being in touch. Thank you for a wonderful day of history and all of that good stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I just want to say thank you. I'm glad to be a part of the organization. I'm glad to be a citizen of the city of Compton, an employee, etc. And those that are interested in getting approved for the Monroe, everybody that goes through the 125 Society, they will get a percentage of the proceeds off of each one you send. So ladies, if you go through them, they will get a percentage of of every print that's sold. And those that need one, you can just Zelle me at my number and I will make sure you get your print. I enjoyed this. I hope we can keep this going. And the more information, if anybody has on the history of the fire department for the Compton, if you have anything out there that I should see or look, because I'm actually trying to put a book together on the Compton Fire Department that starts out from the beginning to 1992 when Monroe retired. That's when I'm gonna end that book on that series. So if you have anything, family members of Monroe, just look me up. You can come through the society, all the avenues that they reached. If you need to send something, they're sure they'll make sure they get it to me. If we work as a team,
Yes.
The dream works, the team works.
Absolutely. And next time we want to do part B of the MacMiller on Station 5, which is to actually have your camera just go through and you tell us what that yellow hat is all about, that red hat is all about, all
No
the pieces
problem.
there.
And
Okay?
anybody in the fire service, you're welcome to show up here anytime to look at what I call the firefighters pictorial history of Compton. I got some of the oldest pictures of the city of Compton's fire department that exists. I'm proud of that part. I won't tell you where I found it all, but it does exist.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much, Richard. Thank you. Do you want to say anything final?
No, I'm good. I think my uncle said it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys
It
for
was
having me on.
Thank you, Richard.
Was wonderful to have you. Mr. Hicks, thank you so much. Those who are on Facebook, I don't want to forget you. Thank you, Facebook, for your participation. Thank you for your support continually. All of the 2,000 and how many followers we have. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please continue to support this cause. We're a nonprofit. We do not make money. We use our own money to keep the society alive. So if you want to give, we have ways to do that. Just reach out to us. Thank you and have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.